I can't stress enough how good the tutors are, not just because you're here.
I'm Helen Marton, and I'm the course leader for Contemporary Design Crafts and for Jewellery Design here at Herefordshire College of Arts. And this is one of our fantastic Level 6 students, Eppie, and we're going to just go through a series of questions really, and hopefully it'll give some detailed information about what it's like to be a student on the course. So if you tell us a little bit about your hobbies and your interests, particularly with relation to craft perhaps.
Well, I grew up in Malvern, so I was always sort of in a smaller environment, certainly with the hills and things like that. It was always very natural, and I grew up around hobbies, like sort of craft hobbies and things like that. And my mum would do little jewellery sets and crafting, and my gran would paint, so I'd be either at home or at my gran's with a bits and bobs drawer and sort of making wire things.
When did you realise, at that point where you thought, oh, I really love this, I quite enjoy this? Can you remember what sort of age you were?
I think it was probably around when I went into GCSE, because my mum weirdly sort of just said, you need to do something that's not academic, because otherwise you're not going to get through, you need something that you're going to enjoy. So I did the art GCSE and found that was something that I wanted to see if I could take forwards really, and then I did, and I think that was the start of the journey for me, where I thought, well, actually there is potential to take this into a career.
Yeah. What are your main influences, do you think, or your main passions?
A lot of people tend to say that they find particular people that interest and influence them, but I don't really. That sort of changes for me, especially with modules. You do a lot of research and contextualization, but for me, I think as a base point, it's got to be nature and just the interaction with, because I do metal work, the interaction of me with the metal. I think that for me sparks a lot of interest, and if I wasn't in an educational setting, I think if I was already in my career, I think those would be the two key factors.
How did you hear about HCA in the first place?
I first met you when I was back in foundation at the Folly campus.
Yeah, that's right.
So that was a lead on from A-levels for me, and especially because it was local to Malvern. And then yourself and James did a presentation for the CDC course over there, and it just felt right. And I saw you afterwards and spoke to you one-on-one about it, and you said go for it, it sounds like it really suits you, and you immediately got invested in the massive wooden leg that I was making.
I remember that.
And then next thing I knew, I was doing an internal application.
So did you know what crafts was exactly before you saw James and I give the talk?
I'd only ever really heard of 3D design, and that's what I thought, oh well, maybe that's a link to it. And certainly contemporary crafts, that didn't make any sense to me at all. But seeing your work made me think, okay, well this isn't dissimilar to what I've been doing really. It's the way that I see it is it's a slightly more functional take on art really. You can put your skill set to a functional use, but also have it as being very contemporary and still having lots of meaning to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you most like about the course?
That's a really difficult one, because there's so much. The course itself there's so much to it. There's modules that are so broad and full of exploration and things, but then you've also got the professional practice, modules where, you know, you get us ready for graduation and what we're going to do afterwards. And I think in the final years, that's something that is really important. And in terms of the campus as well, you know, we can take advantage of so many different workshops, and all the tech dems are lovely in them, are willing to help.
It's such a big deal here, isn't it? We're very, very lucky. What advice or tips have you got for anyone that'd be thinking about applying for the course?
Other than it's a really good idea, I think if you want somewhere that is going to give you a real hands-on experience where you've got good feedback from the tutors, I can't stress enough how good the tutors are, not just because you're here, but because a lot of places, because of the size of them, you don't get to see the tutors all that much, but here we see you, even in the workshops we see you,
In fact,
you know.